The Italian restaurant hummed with Friday evening energy as my family squeezed into a corner booth. Jason's engagement announcement demanded celebration apparently, though I'd driven here despite bone-deep fatigue that made even steering feel like lifting weights. I took the end seat closest to the aisle, my purse pressed against my hip containing medication I'd need before we finished. Finally, someone in this family is doing something worth celebrating, my mother said, raising her wine glass toward Jason and his fiancée Melissa. The implication hung heavy, unlike some people who waste their lives on imaginary problems. At 32 I was the family disappointment. Unmarried, childless, working from home as a data analyst for a pharmaceutical research company. My $165,000 salary impressed nobody because I didn't wear business suits or have an office with my name on the door. Emma probably can't think about relationships when she's so busy with her doctor appointments, my sister Rachel said, her real estate agent's voice dripping practiced charm turned poisonous. How many was it this month? 4. 5, my father corrected, checking his phone where he'd apparently been tracking the family calendar I'd foolishly shared. 5 appointments in 4 weeks. Successive Emma. Your mother sees her doctor twice a year. I stirred my water watching ice cubes spin. They're necessary. For what? Jason asked, genuinely confused. You look fine. What could possibly require weekly checkups? Weekly checkups. As if oncology appointments, infusion sessions, blood work monitoring, and scans were routine maintenance like oil changes. I have a condition that requires monitoring, I said carefully. A condition, Rachel repeated with air quotes. Is that what we're calling anxiety now? I have a therapist for stress, Em. You don't need to medicalize it with weekly doctor visits. It's not anxiety. Then what is it? My mother leaned forward. 8 months of mysterious appointments and vague, I'm not feeling well, excuses. If something was actually wrong, you'd tell us. The truth? I had told them. 8 months ago, sitting in my mother's living room showing pathology reports and treatment plans, explaining my stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosis and what 6 rounds of R-CHOP chemotherapy would mean. My mother had laughed. Lymphoma? Emma, you don't have cancer. You look perfectly healthy. Cancer patients are bald and thin, Rachel had added. You have all your hair and you've gained weight. They'd convinced themselves I was lying or misdiagnosed. When I'd offered to have them meet my oncologist, they'd refused. We're not enabling your medical anxiety, my father had said. So I'd stopped trying. I went to appointments alone, drove myself to chemotherapy, managed nausea and fatigue in private. The weight gain they mocked. Steroids from treatment. The hair they thought proved wellness. Some chemo drugs don't cause complete hair loss, though mine had thinned dramatically. I'd just gotten skilled at styling it. Maybe Emma's doctor is cute, Melissa giggled. Is that why you go so often? Medical romance. The table erupted in laughter. That would explain the secrecy, my mother agreed. Honey, if you like your doctor, just ask him out. You don't need to fake illness to see him. I'm not faking anything. Oh, come on, Rachel said. You have to admit it's ridiculous. Weekly checkups for attention. Missing Jason's birthday because of an emergency appointment. Leaving Thanksgiving early because you were too tired. I had chemotherapy the day before Thanksgiving, I said louder. I was exhausted because my white blood cell count was dangerously low. There you go with the medical drama, my father sighed. You throw around terms like chemotherapy and white blood cell count as if you're actually sick. Have you considered Munchausen syndrome? My hands shook. I pressed them flat against the table. I have cancer. I've had it for 8 months. If you had cancer, we'd know, my mother interrupted. Real cancer is serious. It's not something you hide while working full-time and looking perfectly fine. Looking fine doesn't mean. Then prove it, Rachel challenged. Show us records. Bring us to an appointment. Let us meet this supposed oncologist. I've offered multiple times. You've refused. Because we won't participate in your delusion. Emma, with love, you need psychiatric help, not medical appointments. You know what I think? Jason said, attempting levity. Emma likes attention. Remember when she'd fake stomach aches to skip school? I had undiagnosed lactose intolerance that landed me in the ER. Always dramatic, Rachel said. Everything's a crisis. The waiter took our orders. I requested grilled chicken knowing I'd barely touch it. Chemotherapy had destroyed my appetite, but ordering nothing would spark more comments. As food arrived, wedding planning consumed the conversation. I pushed lettuce around my plate, managed small bites of cardboard-flavored chicken, and ignored fatigue settling into my bones. Tomorrow I had my penultimate infusion. One more after that, then hopefully remission. Honestly, Emma, Rachel said, reaching for bread, you should be happy Jason found someone. At your rate with weekly checkups, you'll be alone forever. No man wants a hypochondriac. I'm not. Then what do you call someone who sees doctors every week? A cancer patient, I said, voice rising. I call them a cancer patient. Brief silence, then my mother laughed. Emma, enough. This isn't funny. You don't have cancer. I have stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I've been in treatment since March. I've completed 5 of 6 chemotherapy rounds. My next infusion is tomorrow at 2. My oncologist is Dr. Sarah Martinez at Riverside Cancer Center. I can give you her number right now. Why would we harass some poor doctor about your fantasy? My father said. If this were real, your family would obviously know and support you. The fact we don't should tell you something. It tells me you don't listen. We listen. We just don't believe obvious lies. My mother used her patronizing voice. I know you're struggling, maybe loneliness, maybe career anxiety. But fabricating a cancer diagnosis is insulting to people who really have cancer. 8 months fighting for my life and they thought I was insulting actual cancer patients. Want to know what I really think? Rachel leaned forward conspiratorially. She's jealous. Jason's getting married, I bought my second investment property. Mom and Dad are planning that cruise. Emma's got nothing, so she invented a crisis to seem interesting. I opened my mouth to respond, then stopped. Dr. Sarah Martinez stood beside our table in an elegant navy dress, silver hair perfectly styled, looking every inch the chief of oncology she was. Beside her stood a distinguished man in his 60s wearing an expensive suit. Emma, Dr. Martinez said warmly. I thought that was you. My family's heads swiveled like they were watching tennis. Dr. Martinez. Hi. I hope I'm not interrupting. I wanted to introduce you to Dr. Robert Chin, president of Riverside Medical Center. Robert, this is Emma Cooper, one of my patients. Dr. Chin extended his hand. I shook it, mind reeling. He was legendary, a former surgeon who'd built Riverside into a premier cancer facility, frequently featured in medical journals and news programs. Miss Cooper. Dr. Martinez speaks highly of you. She mentioned your handling treatment with remarkable resilience. Thank you. Dr. Martinez's gaze moved to my mother. Are you Emma's family? We are, my mother said, professional voice activating. I'm Linda, her mother. This is my husband Richard and our children Jason and Rachel. How wonderful. Emma's support system. Something in her tone suggested otherwise. I'm sure you're very proud of how she's managing her chemotherapy treatments. Silence. Chemotherapy, my mother repeated faintly. Yes. Emma's been receiving R-CHOP chemotherapy for stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma since March. She's completing her 5th of 6 cycles. Her response has been excellent, though side effects have been significant. She paused. I'm surprised she hasn't mentioned it. Usually patients have family at infusions for support. There must be some mistake, my father said. Emma doesn't have cancer. Dr. Martinez's eyebrows rose. I assure you there's no mistake. I diagnosed Emma myself after her biopsy showed aggressive B-cell lymphoma. We've been monitoring her with regular blood work, PET scans and clinical assessments. But she looks fine, Rachel said weakly. Not all cancer patients look sick, though Emma has certainly experienced typical side effects. Nausea, fatigue, peripheral neuropathy, immunosuppression. The weight gain some might attribute to eating well is actually from steroids we use to manage side effects. The hair that's all there has thinned significantly, though Emma styles around it beautifully. I watched my family's faces pale. Dr. Chin spoke, voice carrying authority. I couldn't help overhearing your conversation as we approached. Did I understand correctly that Emma's family was unaware of her diagnosis? She mentioned it, my mother said quickly, but we thought. You thought she was lying, Dr. Martinez finished flatly. Emma told me her family didn't believe her. I found it difficult to fathom, but here we are. We didn't know it was real, Jason said. She didn't show us proof. She offered to have you meet with me multiple times. According to her records, she invited family to her first consultation, treatment planning, and several appointments. You all declined. We thought she was overreacting. Actually, Dr. Chin interjected, voice hard, approximately 1.9 million Americans are diagnosed with cancer annually. Many are young, previously healthy individuals. Emma's age and presentation are entirely consistent with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He turned to me. Ms. Cooper, did your family just call your chemotherapy appointments weekly checkups for attention? I nodded, unable to speak. I see. His expression hardened. Let me provide context. Stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma has a 5-year survival rate of 60 to 70% with aggressive treatment. Without treatment, survival drops to near zero within 2 years. Emma's chemotherapy is literally keeping her alive. We didn't know, my mother whispered. You didn't ask, Dr. Martinez corrected. Worse, you actively dismissed her. Do you know what it's like fighting cancer without family support? Driving yourself to chemotherapy because no one believes you're sick? Managing severe side effects alone because your family thinks you're faking? Rachel cried. Jason looked ill. My father sat frozen, ashen. The weekly checkups you've mocked? Necessary medical appointments that saved Emma's life. Blood work monitors for life-threatening complications. Physical exams check for disease progression. Infusions deliver medication attacking her cancer. Every appointment has been medically necessary. We made a mistake, my mother said. Yes, you should have believed her. But beyond that, you should have supported her. Instead, I overheard you belittling her, accusing her of Munchausen syndrome, suggesting she's jealous of siblings, claiming she's faking for attention while she's in active cancer treatment. Dr. Chin pulled out a business card. My direct line. Call Monday to schedule a family meeting with Dr. Martinez and our oncology social worker. You clearly need education about what your daughter has faced. Will Emma be there? Jason asked quietly. That's Emma's choice, Dr. Martinez said, looking at me with gentle concern. After tonight, I wouldn't blame her for facing cancer alone rather than with people who don't believe she has it. One more thing, Dr. Chin said, addressing my mother. You mentioned planning a cruise. I assume Emma was expected. Yes. A family trip in August. Emma will still be recovering in August. Her final chemotherapy is in 3 weeks, but recovery takes months. Her immune system will be compromised. She'll be fatigued. She needs rest, not a germ-filled cruise ship. We didn't realize. That's becoming a pattern. Not realizing. Not asking. Not believing. Dr. Chin looked at me. Miss Cooper, do you have support for recovery? Someone to help with meals, transportation, managing complications. I've been managing alone. That's not acceptable. Our patient advocate will contact you Monday. We have resources for patients without family support. Home health aides, meal services, transportation. You should have had these months ago. He turned back to my family. Your daughter has been fighting for her life while working full-time, managing her household alone and enduring your accusations. That's not just unsupportive, it's cruel. I strongly suggest you reflect before attempting contact. Dr. Martinez touched my shoulder. Emma, I'll see you tomorrow at 2. Call my office if you need anything before then. Anything at all. You shouldn't face this alone. They left. My family sat in deafening silence. I didn't stay for dessert. I placed 2 20s on the table and walked out. Behind me, my mother called my name. I didn't stop. My phone rang before I reached my car. I declined the call. Then 6 more during the drive home. By the time I entered my apartment, I had 23 missed calls and dozens of texts. My mother, please let us explain, we love you. My father, we need to talk, we had no idea how serious this was. Rachel, I'm a terrible sister, please forgive me. Jason, I'm so sorry, please call back. I blocked them all and sat on my couch in darkness, too exhausted to cry. The next day I drove myself to chemotherapy. The nurses greeted me warmly. These women who'd held my hand through every treatment, who'd become more family than my relatives. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Nurse Patricia asked, setting up my 4. Tired. Emotionally or physically? Both. He squeezed my hand. Dr. Martinez told us what happened. I'm sorry your family wasn't there. But we're here. We've always been here. Halfway through my infusion, Dr. Martinez stopped by. Emma, your mother called my office this morning. 17 times. She's demanding a meeting, insisting she needs to understand what happened. What did you tell her? That she had 8 months to understand and chose not to. That you're my patient, not her, and I take my duty to protect your well-being seriously. That any contact needs your explicit consent. She paused. I also told her that in 30 years of oncology, I've never seen a family treat a cancer patient with such dismissive cruelty, and she should be ashamed. What did she say? She cried and hung up. Dr. Martinez sat beside me. You know you don't owe them anything, right? Not forgiveness, not a relationship, not even an explanation. You've been fighting for your life while they've been fighting against believing you. That's not fixable with an apology. 2 weeks later, a certified letter arrived from my parents. Inside was a check for $50,000, their attempt to help with medical expenses they'd never asked about. A long letter accompanied it about regret and misunderstanding in making things right. I donated the check to Riverside Cancer Center's Patient Support Fund, earmarked for patients without family support. Dr. Martinez called to say it would help dozens of people in situations like mine. My final chemotherapy came and went. Nurse Patricia brought graduation cake. Other patients in the infusion center, my real family, cheered. Dr. Martinez gave me a certificate marking treatment completion. Not one blood relative attended. 3 months post-treatment, my PET scan came back clear. Remission. I'd survived stage 3 lymphoma despite my family, or perhaps because I'd faced it without their toxicity. My mother tried visiting my apartment to celebrate. I didn't answer. Rachel sent flowers about being there for recovery. I donated them to the cancer center. Jason left a voicemail about rebuilding our relationship. I deleted it unfinished. My father emailed about how families forgive and move forward. I blocked his address. They'd laughed about my doctor visits, mocked my weekly checkups for attention, accused me of faking cancer for sympathy. They'd made their choice 8 months ago at diagnosis. The hospital president and my oncologist had shown them the survival statistics, explained the severity they'd refused to see, witnessed the cruelty they'd inflicted. Too late to pretend they'd been supportive all along. I'd survived cancer. I'd survived chemotherapy. I'd survived being an orphan by choice too. Because sometimes the most toxic thing in your life isn't the cancer. It's the family who refuses to believe you have it.